Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 33 of the Shut Your Mouth Lounge. I will
I
never,
believe so, though I will need to check. 1 second.
I will never not be confused about the episode count.
I'm just gonna
Ep-
start to put the episode number in the little chat room here. That way you'll know.
Episode number, whatever we feel like. It is episode number 33.
Alright, I actually got it right. Sweet. So I got here with me today Addie
Hey.
and Pink,
Hey,
and I'm Alex. Hey, I don't know if I should say hey as well. I don't know. Fuck it. So we got a shit ton of topics today. I don't know how much time we'll spend on individual ones. Some of these are just little tidbits, and some of these are confirmations of things we've already talked about. So the first thing is that Billy D. Williams will be returning as Lando Calrissian for Star Wars Episode 9, which I'm happy about that. I was a fan of Lando in the old Star Wars movies, but
yeah, I think I agree there.
I'm more so just happy to hear it because isn't Billy D. Williams one of those guys who just makes the circuits for conventions and charges people absurd amounts of money for autographs, and that's pretty much his entire living?
Probably because I did not know he was still alive.
Like, it feels sad to say, but mentally I tend to put him in the same category as like Virgil from wrestling. Hopefully he isn't as much of an asshole as Virgil. I'm happy to see Lando back. Unlike a lot of people, I am actually interested to see where Episode 9 goes, and I'm not going to boycott the release, again, unlike most people. Have either of you guys even watched Episode 8?
No.
It's on my to-do list. Honestly, I was on Netflix the other day and I saw it was there and I was tempted to watch it just so I would have something to talk about on the podcast, but I wound up watching something else.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be one to talk about. There's some differing opinions on that movie. Abso-fucking-lutely. I mean, just based off the premise alone, you already know, they're gonna do a whole thing with Luke, so there's bound to be controversial opinions on that.
Yeah, I was about to say I heard that Luke is in it.
Yeah, there you go.
I know more, but I won't spoil it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, it was my assumption that Luke would be in it because he was in the end of the first, reboot or whatever you want to call it.
Nah, the movie starts and then Rey just kills him immediately. Yeah.
Your power's mine, old man.
No, the movie starts and it's revealed that it was actually just R2-D2's friggin' projection.
Yeah.
Luke's been dead for the past 30 years.
What if the movie opens up and Rey just throws Luke into a volcano?
Heihachi style.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say you're making a Revenge of the Sith reference there, but Addie's going to take it as Tekken.
People getting thrown into volcanoes can only be freaking.
No, there's tons of stuff that has people getting thrown into volcanoes. It's not all Tekken.
Well, yeah, but all of them have freaking spiky-haired fathers throwing their children in it.
No? In Revenge of the Sith, Anakin accidentally falls into lava while fighting Obi-Wan, and that's what we're referring to.
Yeah, I know. That's one scene that I actually remember from the prequels.
But Obi-Wan isn't spiky-haired.
Well, yeah, I remember that as well.
Yeah, the awkward pause of Addie tries to walk back what he said. Alright, let's just move on. Because there's not really much to say there. The Shazam movie that DC is amazingly enough still working on has cast Jaimon Honsu. I believe that's how you pronounce that, but I may have butchered the poor guy's name. As the Wizard. Which, it's awkward talking about that. Because back in the old days, it was simple. Back in, the golden age of comics, it was simple. The superhero himself was Captain Marvel, and the wizard was Shazam. Nowadays, it's like Shazam. Are you talking about the hero or the wizard that gives him his powers? and they just kind of call him
I'm
the Wizard.
I'm
They call him
talking about the music app.
Shut up. So they call him just the Wizard now, which I don't know why, but that makes me think of the Ku Klux Klan. Because that isn't the Wizard like supposed to be the top guy at the Ku Klux Klan or something, or the Dragon, or the Knight, or some other weird.
I don't know, but that kind of nonsense would make sense.
Yeah,
The Dragonite is the highest member of the Ku Klux Klan.
the Ku Klux Klan seems to be ruled by anime villains. You get to the top and it's fucking Sephiroth waiting for you.
I was about to say, Sephiroth jumps off and impales you with a 15 feet long freaking blade.
Oh god. Alright, so anyways, I've seen Jaimon Hansu in Guardians, but I don't think I've seen him in anything else. Have you guys?
Probably not.
I don't watch movies.
Yeah, the only thing I know about Jaimon Hansu is that our friend Mike is a big fan of him, so maybe he's got something, but I've not seen anything of his outside of Guardians. I'm sure he'll probably do a decent job. I mean, the Wizard isn't exactly the hardest character on the earth to play. Zeus, but a little bit more ambiguous, and without putting his dick in everything.
That we're aware of, anyway.
Yeah, that we're aware of. With that said, I am a little bit hopeful for the Shazam movie because there's one particular screenshot I have seen I'm going to show you guys right now and put as the video a little image for a little bit. And it is this, which I think if this is the tone the movie is following, that is a good fucking sign.
Yep. I saw that image the other day.
Because Shazam is not a thing that can be taken seriously at all. Or, well, he can be taken seriously when put in the right situation, but it's like Guardians where it has to be balanced with a little bit of silly. Like, you can't, there's an inherent silliness element that has to not be taken seriously. You can take the other parts seriously, but, like, you have to have a few gags at Rocket or Groot's expense to acknowledge the fact that they're a little bit goofy, you know?
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
For Shazam, they can have fun, serious moments of him fighting, Black Adam or Dr. Sivana. But they're also going to have a few gags that acknowledge the silly nature of a kid turning into a full-grown man to be a superhero. Also, that's, I've noticed, I'm not exactly the biggest Shazam expert in the world, but he's got the little kid with him, Freddie Freeman Jr., I believe was his name, who in the comics was a full-on paraplegic in a wheelchair, but here he just seems to have, maybe a bum leg. I don't know if they made that change for some reason.
The only reason I could think of is for the camera. It might be a bit hard to have a character that is in a wheelchair at all times.
I suppose. If I remember correctly, in the comics, they had him, he was made paraplegic because he got the shit kicked out of him by Captain Nazi. Which, by the way, yes, Shazam has a villain named Captain Nazi.
It's just Captain America slightly recolored.
The main thing many people may remember Captain Nazi for is the fact that Red Hood murdered the fuck out of him in his first appearance. Batman got angry with Red Hood, and then Red Hood justified it, saying, "He's a Nazi. I can kill him if I want." So I'm hopeful for that. And let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, because we're just running through them, because a fair amount of these are ones that we just want to acknowledge as being big news, but there's not really much we can say.
Yeah.
The next one we're absolutely going to be just running over really quickly, because we've already talked about it. But basically, the deal has been closed that Joaquin Phoenix will be playing Joker in a low-budget, standalone Joker film, assuming nothing bad happens and the set of the film doesn't explode or something.
Wouldn't that be nice?
What's his phrase from Suicide Squad will attack the cast?
I was about to say, Pink, you should hope this movie is successful, because hopefully if it's successful enough, they'll just fucking fire Jared Leto and replace him with Joaquin Phoenix.
Ah, that is a good point. I was just under the assumption that Jared Leto was done anyway, now that they've cast a different Joker.
It's so fucking, it's a mess. It's a fucking mess. Because Jared Leto now is like also trying to work on the Morbius thing, but at the same time, like, you know, I don't know. He could be the first guy to work with both Marvel and DC, which would be awkward and painful as hell. It would be Jared Leto of all fucking people. But this is supposed to be Joker's origin story and possibly set in an alternate universe, which begs the question of why the fuck did they make a DC cinematic universe if they're just gonna immediately go back to doing Elseworlds shit?
Yeah, no kidding.
Alright, so they're all gonna be canon, except this movie, and this movie, and this movie. Like, it's just begging for people in the audience to get confused.
Yep.
You need an Earth 2250 or whichever it is. I forgot which universe has which Earths. Whatever. You need a cinematic universe for each Earth that DC has.
Yeah. Especially the one that's just a knockoff of Marvel. Right, but the thing here, yeah, like I said, if they're setting stuff in other canons, it's just going to confuse people. I remember for the longest time, my parents fucking thought that Joker killed Batman's parents because that's how the Tim Burton movie did it. They still get a little bit confused about that. You can't just, like, set stuff up like this for people who don't read the comics and expect them to understand.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody knows that Joker killed Uncle Ben.
Right?
Can I say the one thing Spider-Man 3 actually did right was having Sandman be the guy who killed Uncle Ben? I actually liked that bit.
I don't remember that bit, but okay.
Yeah. I wish I could not remember Spider-Man 3. So, moving on again. Todd Howard, apparently in some interview, has said, if you want us to stop releasing Skyrim ports, stop buying them.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was about to say, that is the kind of line that is begging for a comeback. Like, alright, if you want us. Finally, we agree with Todd Howard. But that's hilarious that he's just outright saying that. Though it does beg the question of, like, not every popular game does that, though. Like, GTA 5 isn't getting ported to everything under the fucking sun. There isn't GTA 5...
It is getting re-released every 5 months, though, with a new Shark card.
Well, the Shark cards come out constantly, but it's only on PC and the 7th and 8th generations PlayStation and Xboxes. That's it, right?
Right.
I don't think they're putting GTA 5 on the Switch.
It would be
The Switch could not handle GTA 5, I wouldn't think.
Well, it could. If it can handle Skyrim, it can handle GTA 5. I think the bigger issue would just be Nintendo doesn't want a Grand Theft Auto game on their console.
The Switch version of GTA 5 would have a secret lap dance done by Mario.
Oh. Wait, a stripper
I'd
in a
buy
Mario
that.
a stripper in a Mario costume or just Mario?
Just Mario.
Oh, that's lame. I'd rather have Wario and Waluigi. Just getting flashbacks of that stupid meme people made of a news announcement. Nintendo confirms Waluigi is uncircumcised for some reason.
Yeah, I remember that.
No, you go and steal shit with Wario and Waluigi.
The background theme during the lap dance is instead the WarioWare theme.
Perfect.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and with the new Amiibo, you can get a Toad-themed SMG.
I missed what you said, but making me think of Amiibo weapons just all of a sudden made me think of, like, oh, get an Amiibo for Yoshi. Get a fucking Yoshi in GTA 5. And that would actually be awesome.
Yeah, what I said was more realistic in that you'd get character-themed skins for weapons.
Ah. Now I actually want to see somebody mod for like GTA 5 on PC. Like Trevor riding a Yoshi and saying, "Onward, my steed," or something stupid like that.
Just cutting the Roach, cut out the Roach dialogue out of Witcher or something for the speed.
God. Right.
Like, go ahead.
In other news, this one came out a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to mention it. Apparently, Amazon Italy accidentally leaked Bloodborne 2 and Sunset Overdrive 2, which is... Hasn't Amazon Italy got a bad history of doing this already?
Yep.
Jesus.
I want to say it was either Amazon Italy or freaking branch of GameStop or something that leaked like 90% of the games announced at E3.
Jesus. It's incredible when this stuff happens multiple times from the same place, because it means either they didn't fire the guy that leaked it the first time, or they fired the guy that leaked it, then hired another guy that leaked it again.
What's going on over there? Where's the miscommunication coming from?
Is the CEO? The CEO is leaking this.
Oh my god. It's his way of forcing their hand for Bloodborne 2. The Souls fans are just so rabid, man. Right, so I'm happy to hear Bloodborne 2 is going to be a thing that exists, because I don't care for Souls and I'd rather see From Software working on Bloodborne. I mean, it still plays like a Souls game, so I can't play it because I'm not good enough at it, and the Souls games, a lot of their difficulty things are just there to annoy you, and I think the Souls games are very poorly structured in that way, but I'm happier to see the kind of Victorian, Lovecraftian, weird shit that Bloodborne has than Dark Souls generic dark fantasy. You know? I mean, for me, I just... Dark fantasy is something that I get sick of very quickly. Because it's like, everything is bad, death everywhere, sucks, whatever. And here's your grim knight who doesn't have any powers or anything. He just stabs things. Which, you know, gets lame very, very quickly. I don't know. I don't have it. I don't care for mundane medieval type settings at all. And dark fantasy is really close to it in a lot of times, you know?
Yep.
But hey, it was the dark times.
Yeah, it was. Also, Sunset Overdrive 2, if anyone gave a shit about the first game.
I played through it once. Then we played it with Pink once. And the soundtrack was alright.
I don't believe you.
I don't remember the soundtrack, but
But yeah, but then I like
I'll
punk
agree with you
music.
that it was the only redeeming quality that Sunset Overdrive had.
What was?
The soundtrack that I don't remember.
Yeah. For me, the humor was way too try-hardy.
Well, it's fucking the follow-up to Saints Row. Like, Sunset Overdrive 2 is a better sequel to Saints Row than, what was it, Agents of Destruction or Agents of Mayhem?
Yeah.
Agents of Mayhem.
It was a closer sequel. I shouldn't have said better, because there hasn't been a good Saints Row in 10 years, but... Yeah, if Sunset Overdrive was just a game that I immediately was like, okay, so it's like Saints Row, recent Saints Row, I have no interest in this. That series died with Saints Row 3 for me. But did that game even do well enough to really warrant getting a sequel?
No, but it was like the only mediocre exclusive for the Xbox for a while, so people are touting it as one of the greatest games of all time, of course.
That was an exclusive?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes, Sunset
I
Overdrive.
can see why Microsoft upped their game this year.
Yeah, Sunset Overdrive was like the only exclusive that Xbox One had for like a year or so.
Rise came out before it, but nobody bought Rise.
Yeah, oh god, I remember Rise.
And the thing is, Rise still costs $30. I know because Xbox recommends it to me.
Man, that takes me back a couple of years. The hard days when the console first launched. And Xbox One, you had Rise and Dead Rising 3, which was not great. On PlayStation, you had fucking the awful Killzone game that everybody hated, and fucking...
And Knack.
Knack, yeah. The money of Knack. I feel like that one's a bigger question of how the fuck did that get a sequel? Because Knack did get a sequel somehow.
Well, haven't you heard how everybody's waiting for Knack 3? Nobody can get enough of their... I don't even know what to call that game. Bloody hell.
I think it's like just a generic, ambiguous, like, third-person platformer in the same way as Ratchet and Clank, but without any of the stuff that made Ratchet and Clank good. Ah, man. I'm sure Donkey, the YouTuber Donkey, is waiting with, bated breath for Knack 3. Ugh. Right. So, also, someone beat Fallout New Vegas on the highest difficulty without dying or killing, and uploaded it all to YouTube.
Without dying or killing?
Without dying or killing. On the NCR route.
Ah.
Now, other people died, but he didn't kill them, so it was a very Batman-esque playthrough, apparently, according to this article. Like, he would knock them out with boxing gloves, apparently, which I forgot that boxing gloves could knock people out.
Ah, yes.
And then he pulled out the enemy repellent spray.
Does not just using your bare hands, does that just kill people?
Yes, that does.
I did not know that. Okay, that's strange that it's just the boxing gloves that KO.
Yeah, I think I've blown people's heads off with bare hands before.
That's probably possible, to be honest. I know the boxing gloves can obviously result in knockouts, but I think there's also another thing like taped wrists or something, taped hands.
Yeah, something like that.
That acts like boxing gloves as well.
Okay, and there's also the golden boxing gloves that you can get from one of the casinos, right?
Probably. I don't think I ever got golden boxing gloves, though.
I've never used the casinos.
Right, but you can go in and kill the people and steal their shit.
Yeah. I use casinos all the time. I've got a luck of like 10.
I never gamble. I never gamble in that game because I know that if you win too much, the game just throws you out of the casino.
Yep.
So it's like, all right, oh well, I'm not doing that. But what was I going to say? Right, I think he also had completed every side quest in the game.
Oh, wow.
Which apparently several of them technically require you to kill somebody. So he had to do like crazy bullshit where he'd take some NCR guy and deliberately walk him into Legion territory so that the Legionaries would kill him for them. So it's crazy what people do with these games sometimes.
What motivated him to do this?
Boredom.
That's what I want to know.
Bragging rights.
It's like, yeah, bragging rights, absolutely. But how much time do you think he spent on this? All those calculations, all that work to get a full no kill, no death playthrough in Fallout New Vegas using only boxing gloves?
It's the no death part that gets me, I'm gonna be honest here.
Yeah. Color me impressed.
Because, like, what happens if he did die? Was it like a fucking Iron Man run where you just have to start the entire fucking game over again?
Oh, lordy.
And it's all up on YouTube, supposedly, so you can go and see that he did it.
I'm gonna have to watch that later. Talk about it on the next podcast.
Well, it's probably just a lot of footage of him smacking Deathclaws in the face. And I think supposedly this guy also did it for Fallout 4. Well, he didn't do that. He did it for Fallout 4, no armor playthrough. Which...
I think that's a little less impressive.
Yeah, it's a little less impressive depending on what weapons you've got.
Yeah.
If you've got the sniper rifle, yeah, it's not terrifically impressive. Just kill everybody from the other side of the room before they notice you.
It's like, for a long time, I went without armor for that Fallout until I got the Silver Shroud stuff, and then I just wore that the entire time.
I really want to when I play Fallout. Like, I'm too bad at those games to go without armor, but I really want to go without armor just because I'd rather look cool. And most of the armor in those games looks fucking stupid.
Yep.
I mean, there's the Ranger armor from New Vegas that's on the front cover because it's so cool, but, like, good luck finding it.
Yeah. You have to go find an NCR camp and then like kill the guy for it.
I'm
But hey, you'll have your armor that way.
I'm like the
Or
only person playing Fallout or Elder Scrolls games that doesn't kill random innocents for their clothes.
I haven't done it yet, but someday I might.
I've done it for less.
I know, I was watching you the other day.
Yeah. Cliff is on a vacation until further notice. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh my god, did you kill the guy who swaps out for Boone in the T-Rex mouth?
No, I killed the guy who runs the shop in the T-Rex.
Oh, why?
Because I needed that gun.
But can't
And
you...
he wouldn't go to sleep. So I was like, I don't want to wait. And now he's in the freaking storage locker,
Well,
sleeping.
can't you, like, pass a speech check and that's all that you need to make that gun available?
No, I need to pay for it. Which is a thing that I didn't want to do.
Jesus Christ. I was really worried. Okay, I confused Cliff with Manny for a second. I thought you had killed Manny, the other sniper in the T-Rex mouth. I was like, but if you took Boone away, then the city's just without defenses. You monster.
Okay, I
Say
need to
goodbye
go.
to Novak.
We need to go back to Nipton, so I might as well kill Manny.
Just becomes Deathclaw territory after that.
Oh, worse than Deathclaw territory, Legion territory. Right. So, also, apparently, one of the old devs for the Dead Space series, when it was under Visceral, has come out and talked a bit about Dead Space 4 and Dead Space 3. And he said, first of all, what we would all expect, Dead Space 3 was kind of a mess because EA stuck their fingers in. Supposedly, it's easy to, when you go from Dead Space 1 to 2 to 3, it's very easy to see that each one gets more heavily focused on action scenes and big, what do they call it? Whatever. Like, you know, your big scripted fight scenes. Like, we were just playing, I was just playing with Addie earlier yesterday. We were recording for Couchless Co-op, and there's a scene where you're riding a train that goes out of control, and that whole scene would not have been in Dead Space 1 at all. Dead Space 1 had very few of those scenes. Dead Space 2 has several of them, but Dead Space 2 has enough slow horror parts to make up for it. Dead Space 3 is, I've not played it, but it's supposedly just straight up a third-person shooter with no horror elements.
Mm.
So apparently, yeah, EA stuck their fingers in and forced them into that. And then after that, since Dead Space 3 kind of bombed because nobody wanted an action-based Dead Space, they then put Visceral on Battlefield Hardline, which I did not know that until yesterday. And obviously Battlefield Hardline bombed, so EA just... shut down Visceral. For some reason I couldn't think of the word shut down. I hate when your brain messes with you like that. But apparently there were actually plans to do a Dead Space 4 before Visceral got shut down. And, like, I'll have to hold back on some of the information because Addy hasn't got that far in the game. But they actually planned on Dead Space 4 being set, like, after the Necromorphs killed basically everyone. And it's about your character just wandering through space looking for parts in spaceships and trying to survive. And making it supposedly a much lower budget affair than Dead Space 3. And I think that's kind of interesting. Not only to hear what has already been thought by a lot of people that Dead Space 3 was screwed over by EA, but to hear that Visceral was looking to go in a very different direction for 4. Which I for one would have been interested because I don't think you've got to that point yet in Dead Space 2. Addy, have you got to any of the points where you're flying around in zero gravity?
Yes.
Okay, so it basically would have been a game that was mostly composed of that. And I felt that was actually, like, the way Dead Space 2 handled it was actually one of the few times in gaming we've handled 3D movement, you know, in a shooter properly. Because ordinarily swimming or flying is very difficult to work with and often comes out garbage. So, for me, that's a little bit of a sad note. Pink, you haven't played any of the Dead Space games, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if Addy's like or enough to the point already where he'd be like more interested in more Dead Space, or if it's like, yeah, I don't care if the series is dead.
I don't know either, because a part of me would be interested in the rest of the series. Another part of me dislikes the idea of space survival.
I don't know if it'd be so much survival as like searching for parts to upgrade your ship or something like that. He didn't really make it clear.
I don't like sci-fi.
Eh,
We've been through this numerous times.
What was that one game that came out like last year or so and bombed because it was terrible and nobody liked it?
No Man's Sky.
Even though it had a lot of hype. Yeah, No Man's Sky. You were talking there and it just made that pop up in my head. Sorry for derailing everything.
no, I get what you're saying there, absolutely. Which No Man's Sky had a big problem because it was a terribly unstructured experience. And this interview definitely claimed, like he says, that they'd try to give it a structured story that you'd follow along, and you'd be doing the picking up the spaceship parts along the way. But it does raise the inevitable question of, like, he's saying low budget, but at the same time suggesting making massive spaceship environments to loot and make your own spaceship. So it's like, ooh, this would have been a problem if they'd have actually tried to do it. Because, like, low budget, high ambition does not usually work well together.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like No Man's Sky.
Or if they do properly try to make a low budget, high ambition thing, it comes out looking like Minecraft, where, yeah, there's a lot of systems, and they met most of their high ambitions, but the game looks fugly as hell.
That's what the mothers are for.
I suppose so.
I heard mothers and it confused the crap out of me. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, the cyber mothers.
What is my mom going to do about this? I don't understand.
She's gonna bake some cookies and the game will turn into Ultra HD.
Okay. Do any of you guys remember the marketing campaign for Dead Space 2?
No.
Oh, yeah, the My Mom Plays or whatnot.
Your mom will hate this game was the
Yeah.
slogan. And they just filmed a bunch of ads of, like, middle-aged women, like, looking at the game and reacting in horror. And it's... Okay, well...
Yes, I do remember that. That was great.
I remember that being, like, one of the last really stupid, immature gaming ad campaigns that I can remember. Like, that was one of the ones that killed it in terms of, okay, if we're gonna ever make gaming high art, we can't accept this shit. Well, I'm reminded of, like, the really old days. You remember the really old days, like, early 2000s of reading PlayStation Magazine, and they'd have some fucking ad for a Tomb Raider game, and it would just have Lara basically naked?
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, or the really weird ones of, like, Crash Bandicoot in front of, like, a stack of sodas or something.
Yeah.
Depending on how early 2000s we're speaking, I might have still been in a diaper. So...
Don't mind us senior old people trying to remember the old days before the war. Before the Fire Nation came and changed everything.
But when you needed mature gaming journalism, it disappeared.
Yeah,
Never to be seen again.
Yeah.
It was never there.
It was never there. Oh, man. So, yeah, that was our topic list that we ran through real quickly. I'm glad that we can set up 2 topics and talk about them for hours, or we can set up 7 topics and run through them in 30 minutes.
That's how it is, always. That's how we roll.
There's also the topic that I posted last Thursday.
Right, you wanted to talk about Darksiders 3, right?
No, that's a whole different thing. Yakuza developers say that Xbox One release is an option they would consider. They think that there would be an audience for it, though I can't really
I don't believe
make any. I can't really freaking show proof for this since the freaking site that had the interview is in French. So
well, I can't. We can still talk about the concept though, because like on one hand, Microsoft, like we've seen this past E3, Microsoft is definitely trying to go hard on getting more Japan stuff for their console, because it's like a big benefit that Sony and Nintendo have, where Xbox, you're really only getting Western gaming, whereas Nintendo and Sony consoles, you're getting both Western and Eastern games. Like, if you want to play a JRPG on Xbox, it's not happening. Like, Persona 5 was one of the big games of 2017, and it just completely shot over the Xbox. You guys didn't get it. Or like Nier Automata was fucking huge last year, and it also was not on Xbox, correct?
It just came out.
Okay, it just came out because Microsoft is just now being like, okay, we may want to tap into this market, maybe. So
you gotta tap into whatever market you can, really. Yeah. Especially if you're Xbox right now.
Absolutely.
Or Xbox like years ago.
Oh yeah.
When the consoles first released.
But like, yeah. I think there would be a possibility of Yakuza on Xbox if Microsoft was like handing out kickbacks. You know, like, because there are cases where Microsoft like tries to hand out kickbacks to developers to encourage them to get the franchise rolling. That way, that once the franchise really gets rolling, even if it doesn't make back its initial cost just off of sales, they can still afford to keep the series rolling enough to pick up a fan base. You know?
Yeah.
And then the fan base can start paying, and Microsoft wouldn't have to give out kickbacks anymore. So I think if Microsoft was willing to shell out the money to get Sega to keep making Yakuza games, or keep porting them at least, then there would be that possibility. But Japan just has had such a history of issues with the Xbox. Like, the Xbox's sales in Japan are, like, atrocious. Aren't they, like, you know, they're lucky to get, like, 40K or 50K sales of an Xbox?
Yes, if I recall, the Xbox has always performed poorly in Japan.
Yeah, because Japan, like, as much as we rely on them for tech and video games, and they pretty much built the video game industry, they're really xenophobic.
Yes.
And so, like, anytime we've tried to bring Western gaming over there, like, there are very few franchises that do well in Japan. GTA does well, and I think Elder Scrolls does well, but that's about the extent of it. So,
Rainbow Six is one of the most played games in Japan on Xbox. So.
Oh, well, on Xbox. Yeah. I'd imagine.
I have no idea otherwise, but yeah, like Rainbow Six is apparently pretty big in Japan as well.
That is interesting to hear. I don't. Well, there is definitely a thing there of like Eastern gaming being much stricter with difficulty than Western games. So I do have to question there, because like Rainbow Six is probably one of the most ruthless first-person shooters ever developed. So I wonder if there's some element of that there.
Yeah.
Because like you gotta keep in mind, Japan was the nation that spawned Dark Souls and Devil May Cry, where both of which are incredibly difficult games. Though Devil May Cry at least has an easy mode. And what's the other absurdly hard game series that comes out of Japan? I'm trying to think of it.
Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers 2 is supposed to be stupid levels of difficult, isn't it?
Yes. Which one? The Lost Levels or
the Lost level?
Doki?
The Lost level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because for some... That's still kind of confusing to me that they did that. That for some reason America got an entirely different Super Mario Brothers 2 than Japan did. Right, so that I think that there is a positive factor if Microsoft is willing to cooperate with Sega on getting it rolling. There is a negative factor that the Xbox just does terribly in Japan, so they wouldn't be making any money off of Japanese consumers. And there's also the thing of Yakuza has always had issues stateside, and it's making a comeback somewhat, because like Yakuza 0 and Kiwami and 6 are doing fairly well with like a niche American audience, but it's still not incredible, you know?
Yeah.
Like we're definitely not the early days of Yakuza, where the first Yakuza game, not only did they translate it into English, they got a full English voice cast, where nowadays all the Yakuza games that come out in the West still use the Japanese voice acting, so you have to rely on subtitles. But the original Yakuza, when they released it on PS2 in the States, not only did they get an English voice actor cast, they actually got American celebrities. They got fucking Mark Hamill to voice Majima. which they got Michael Madsen, I think, as well, and Dakota Fanning, I think, but I may be wrong about that one. So and that's not ever going to happen again. They're not doing that anymore. So I don't know. I'm definitely interested. I want to see more I want to see more success for Yakuza because I am a fan of the Yakuza series, and I would like to see more of it stateside. But I do not know if Yakuza would have any capability to be a success on Xbox. I don't know.
I'm interested in Yakuza just because it seems like it could fill the space that Sleeping Dogs that left.
Yeah, and I'd also
For
recommend
me.
at least like Paint give Yakuza a try, because Yakuza is full of all the right stupid Japanese bullshit.
Perfect.
It's like you're a guy in a stark white and red suit who goes out and German suplexes thugs to death. You have not lived until you have, like, what was the move? Oh, there's all kinds of crazy moves in Yakuza. There's one where, for some reason in Japan, they have portable oven, or portable stoves. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Space.
Yeah, and,
It's because Japanese houses are really small from what I gather.
okay. Here you can pick one up and turn the stove on, like to the max where the stove is lighting on fire, and then stick someone's face in it. You can pick up a box of nails and force your enemy to swallow the nails.
That sounds horrible.
It does. There's a hilarious thing with Yakuza where the developers are always insisting, like in interviews outside the game, are always insisting that Kiryu has never killed someone. But it's like, there's no fucking way someone can survive swallowing nails. That would be like internal bleeding that even the best surgeon in the world could not stop.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I'd be interested in that prospect abso-fucking-lutely. And the Yakuza series is actually one of the few series that still comes out with demos properly, so you guys could even give it a try for free on Xbox.
Yeah, I tried out the 6 games demo, I want to say, when the PlayStation was still with me. And because 6 was still not coming out for a year when I had it, I actually downloaded the Japanese demo, so I couldn't understand shit, but I did have a freaking blast playing karaoke.
How'd you feel about that fucking hour of cutscenes the game starts you off with?
I was hoping that it wouldn't be so long just because I don't understand what they're saying.
Oh yeah.
Then I found that there's a freaking skip button. So
Yeah, I downloaded the Yakuza 6 demo as well, and at first when that hour of cutscene started, I was like, alright, I'll stick around with this, I'll figure out the narrative. And then about 20 minutes in, I was like, okay, fuck this.
But yeah.
Yakuza 6 isn't quite indicative of the rest of the series, though, because it did make some innovations. Like, there's a thing that I was disappointed to find out about. Yakuza 6 lets you fight anywheres, and the fight will continue to wherever you take it. So you can start fighting in front of a convenience store and throw somebody through the front window of the convenience store, and then continue to fight inside the convenience store, like picking up like racks of, I don't know, cookies or some shit and smacking them with the racks. There's a particularly brutal one in Yakuza 6 where there's a microwave behind the front counter, and you can stick somebody's head in the microwave and turn the microwave on. Which, there's no fucking way that didn't kill somebody, you know? But, yeah. Hopefully that turns out well for Sega and turns out well for Microsoft, or else Yakuza could die in the West again. Whoopsie doodles. So there's also Darksiders 3, which you said there was some information that came out about it. What information was that exactly?
Not information per se, 11 minutes of gameplay
Oh shit.
is what it is.
Okay, so what does it look like? Like, are we talking like more Darksiders 2, where it's more RPG-ish, or Darksiders 1, where it's more like not RPG-ish?
I'd say it's more like 2, from what I could tell.
That's good.
I'm looking at the video right now, so But yeah, from what I can tell, it's more of 2, maybe with a bit more RPG elements.
I don't know. I thought 2 struck just the right balance of like Devil May Cry-esque combat mixed with RPG elements.
Yeah. But everything has to be open world RPG now, so
Well, it's money. So yeah, for my part, I'm like mildly interested. I've never gotten it too hard. I actually own several copies of both Darksiders 1 and Darksiders 2, I think, for some reason. Tried to play them both like 6 or 7 years ago, whenever Darksiders 2 would have been new, and I just could not get into them. But I've definitely been thinking, like, playing through the recent Devil May Cries, I've been thinking, like, during the build-up to Devil May Cry 5, I'm thinking that every week I'm on the podcast, I'll play through a different sort of Devil May Cry-esque character action game and talk about it. So I'm probably going to be running through Darksiders 1 and Darksiders 2 fairly soon, and talking about them here on the podcast.
The first game is supposed to be more like Legend of Zelda. The second game it's actually a long game, I'd say. Like, I don't know what I could properly compare it to. What I do know is that first I bought the second game because it was on sale before the first one was. So I bought it, and I went in because I thought that people just said about the series that it was more like Legend of Zelda. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll actually like a more freaking edgy Legend of Zelda. So I would go in, I played through the game, and I'm like, okay, I like the game. It's a fun game. It's a good game, in my opinion, but I don't see a lot of Legend of Zelda. And then I learned that it was the first game they said that about. So then the first game gets added through Game Pass. I give it a go, and it just couldn't catch me or grab me or whatever.
What I remember of the first one, I do not remember it being Zelda-esque at all. Though if Zelda has been hiding a combo system from me for years, then I would be amazed. Darksiders 1 more so reminded me of like a much weaker Devil May Cry. But I could be totally fucking wrong and just remembering it poorly, or I was so shit at the game that I thought it was something else.
I think the comparison is because of how you
travel through the worlds of the game and collect items.
Yeah.
There was definitely some item collecting going on in that fucking game. Also, Mark Hamill sitting there the entire time bitching you out. I'm always delighted to see Mark Hamill. So, yeah, Darksiders 3, I am very interested in if it keeps along the same path as Darksiders 2. If the combat system has stayed the same, like, if they add more RPG elements, I'm fine with that. If the combat system has stayed the same as Darksiders 2, and yeah, fucking rad, I'll go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and pick that up.
Yeah, honestly, just looking at the gameplay, it seems like they kept the Devil May Cry-esque combat system.
Alright, sweet. I'll be in on that whenever it comes out. It probably won't be a day one buy for me. It'll probably be like a whenever the price lowers to $40 or $30 or goes on sale on Steam buy, but it'll be a buy at some point.
To be honest, it might be a day one buy for me just because there's literally no other games that I'm looking forward to this year. Like
Ghost of Tsushima doesn't come out this. Oh, of course it doesn't. Oh, you're not interested in Spider-Man?
Yeah, somewhere in between. I'm not really, pulling for it, but if it's going to be impressive or something, I might buy it. I'm just not gonna buy it day one.
Spider-Man is gonna vary a lot. I've only heard good things from the people who have gotten to preview it, which is very good. I've heard that the web swinging is a little bit like it's not exactly Spider-Man 2-esque, which is a pity because Spider-Man 2 still has the best web swinging. But for me, I think a big thing is going to be the melee combat system. Because like Spider-Man 2 was an incredible game for the web swinging. The combat was awful. I assume you both have played Spider-Man 2, right?
Right.
Not sure.
So yeah, you remember the combat in that game, not great. So
Combat in Spider-Man games was always very tricky.
It was easier in like Web of Shadows, where you had crazy, stupid symbiote moves that would wipe out the entire screen. I remember that. I haven't played any of the ones that weren't open world. You know,
The only go ahead.
I haven't played Shattered Dimensions or what have you, those games. So I don't know if they did it better because they were more focused. So I don't know.
The only games that I remember how they played were 3 on the PlayStation 2. Then again, it doesn't really variants pointing at on which system because I think that game sucked on everything.
Dude, I had that game on fucking Wii for like a week. I rented it, and Spider-Man 3 was one of the first games I've ever played that I was like, this game is dog shit. Because, you know, as a kid, you're like more apt to appreciate everything. Like, you know, I don't know how many shitty games I played as a kid, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, you know, Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects I thought was amazing as a kid. Going back and playing it as an adult, it's hot fucking garbage.
Yeah. You can appreciate and love anything as a kid, but once you get older and you start realizing more about what you're playing, it's hard to play some of the older games you used to love.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember I used to like Spider-Man 3 when I had it for the PS2, but even then, like, I had 2 Spider-Man games. One was Friend or Foe, which, yeah.
I don't know if that one's aged well. That one wasn't spectacular at the time.
It aged much better than 3, I'd say.
Well,
then again, I haven't played 3 in years. But, like, you know, by comparison, Friend or Foe is freaking Shakespeare compared to bloody 3, I'd say.
Hey,
it also has Blade.
Yeah, I was about to say, it has Blade. It also has Prowler, which, like, for some reason, you know how when you're a kid, there are sometimes just these random nothing characters that you stick yourself onto really hard, and it's like, I like this guy. And he's garbage, but you're like, I love him. Like, for me, Prowler was one of those characters. I fucking loved the idea of a character with gauntlets that could shoot out smoke grenades. Or was that what Prowler did, or was that something else?
Yeah,
I think that is Prowler, yeah. Then again, my only real what's it called? Bloody whatever. The only place I've seen Prowler is in Friend or Foe. So
he's in the MCU. He's in Homecoming, but he isn't Prowler yet. But the character is in Homecoming. He is Donald Glover's character, I believe.
Yep.
But yeah, so I played 3. I remember how 3 played. I guess I remember how Friend or Foe played. Then again, that's not. I wouldn't say that's a Spider-Man game. I'd say that's a Spider-Man themed 3D beat 'em up.
The thing I remember about Friend or Foe was the fact that you're forced to put Spider-Man on every team. So you'd start the level and immediately switch to the other guy.
Yeah, I used to do that.
Yeah, because like you play as Spider-Man for the first level because you want to try him out, and after that it's like, I don't want to play as this character on every single fucking level. Like, I'd rather play as the new character I just got. I'd rather play as Doc Ock or Sandman or Iron Fist, you know?
Yeah, I only switched for freaking Blade, Iron Fist, and Venom.
Yeah, I was about to say Venom. There we go. Was Green Goblin in that game? Was he playable?
Yes, both of them were in. Both New Goblin or whatever, and the actual Green Goblin.
I forgot they put New Goblin in the game because it came out after Spider-Man 3. Fuck.
Yeah, because I didn't realize how the games were coming out, so I put the disc and I was like, why is this guy in this game?
Because he's James Franco.
But yeah, I also remember how Shattered Memories were played, and I think I'm like one of the 5 people who like Shattered Memories just on the friggin'.
Shattered Memories is actually one of the ones that has a good legacy. Like, generally, I think when people rank the old Spider-Man games, like Spider-Man 2 is always at the top, and then Shattered Memories and Ultimate always compete for number 2, I think. Not Shattered Memories, Shattered Memories is remembered well. I was thinking Web of Shadows.
Yeah.
But, like, Shattered Memories, Web of Shadows, and Ultimate are all considered to be up in the upper echelon of Spider-Man games.
Yeah, the problem is that they never, like, they sold those games, but they were, like, freaking off the shelves by years by the point that I got a 360, so The only way I even played through Shattered Memories is because of Jeff.
Jeff?
Yes.
Who's Jeff?
You don't remember Jeff?
Oh, I do remember Jeff. Let's not talk about Jeff.
Oh, Jeff from the forum. It's
Yeah.
like, who's this random Jeff person you're referring to? I don't understand.
Let's not
Yeah,
talk
they
about
started him as guy Jeffrey. But then,
Jeffrey. Right.
But-
Alright, so... Can I just say one thing, though?
go ahead.
I like the new chick's design in Darksiders 3. What's her name? Fury or some shit?
Fury, yes.
Yeah, I will never not be angry about the fact that they swapped out Plague and Famine for fucking Fury and Strife, because that's the stupidest shit ever. But I like Fury's design a lot. She looks cool.
Yeah.
I would have been...
From the thumbnail, it looks like she's rocking the Ivy Blade, so that's always
Yeah,
a plus.
she is. She is.
It is. The Ivy Blade is just too neat. Ivy is like...
Yeah.
I was about to go off on a Soul Calibur tangent. I need to get better about not going off on ridiculous tangents. So, like, Darksiders, like... I remember Darksiders 1, the war design was kind of bland. Big Warcraft dude in a hood, and that's it.
Yeah.
Darks...
And long gold locks, I think.
Yes, but you couldn't... Well, it was silver, I think. Silver hair.
I don't remember. I just remember that he had longer, bright hair.
And then Darksiders 2 had Death, who I liked his design much, much, much better. Like,
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just... It was different from the usual Grim Reaper design of hood, cloak, skeleton, scythe, that's it. It was a lot more original, and also, of course, you could change his look in that game, which meant that if you didn't like Death's look by default, change to something else. You could make him look like a fucking cowboy in that game for some reason. At which point he just becomes Reaper from Overwatch.
And you can do so only by the easy and quick method of going to hot topic.
Yeah, that was the thing about Death. It's like awkward admitting that you like Death's design in Darksiders 2 because he is kind of an edgelord.
I don't mind because I am the edgy one on the podcast, so...
You're still young, you can get away with it.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm 18. I'm not that young. Not anymore.
You're still young.
Still relatively young.
Yeah. Still technically a teen.
Comparatively. So, yeah, Darksiders 3, gonna be fucking good. Let's go ahead and move on to what we've done this past week. I've got a lot to talk about. Does someone else want to go first?
I can go first, because I've got, like, nothing to talk about.
Sweet.
Well, I've got nothing as well, so... Go ahead, Pink.
Alright. This week, for the first time ever... Well, actually, not the first time ever. But ignore that part. I was actually watching some esports. It's like, I was catching up on the Overwatch League and whatnot.
Okay.
So, like, that's the first actual ever esport I watched, because it was on at a time where I was actually awake and had nothing better to do. I was like, oh, cool, I love Overwatch, I'll watch this. This is pretty nifty. But, yeah, I decided to watch some Rainbow Six esports, because I figured, hey, if I watch the pros, maybe I'll learn something.
Oh,
You can't learn anything watching them, because the camera angles and the adjustments they make are just so fast that you can't really concentrate on what they're doing, because it just swaps from one person to the next, and the camera will often miss out on something important that just happened.
That is the
Or it will
worst.
swap to somebody and they'll die immediately, and then they'll have to find somebody else to swap to. So it's like, how does anyone watch this and feel entertained by it?
I
And
don't
then
think
what
they-
you pick...
I
Go
don't think
ahead.
they do, because Rainbow Six isn't very big with the esports.
I can't imagine it is with those angles.
Even if the camera
But-
work was good, I don't think there's anything you could learn, because Rainbow Six players in esports would have an unfair advantage, because every one of them would have to do a line of coke beforehand.
Yeah, the only real gameplay you can pick up is how to look like a complete idiot, switching from leaning left to leaning right, because that's actually that made it easier to lean, or faster to lean rather. But yeah, you actually need to you know how to utilize it for it to actually work, not just do it, which is
Yeah. But as an Xbox player, nothing that they do would translate over to my playstyle anyway, because they're all
Yeah.
mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, the thing is, leaning on mouse and keyboard is so much fucking easier than it is on a controller. Because a controller, you gotta aim down sights and then you gotta press down a stick to lean either way, and that's, like, stupidly inconvenient. Whereas on keyboard, you just press Q to lean left, press E to lean right. That's it. And I'd imagine once you get to that high level, like, yeah, it's ridiculous. Just dudes fucking shimmying and, sliding everywhere. Because, it's harder to hit somebody if they're shimmying all over the fucking place.
Yep. It's like all the Rainbow Six games that I've played, everyone's relatively slow. Nobody's running across the map, sprinting to get to the objective, like
Except
pulling
Ash.
holes
Except
and
Ash.
not necessary walls. Yeah, except Ash. Then in the Rainbow Six esport league, it's like everybody's running, everybody's on coke, everybody's got ADHD. They're all over the place. Oh, now they're dead. Now this guy's over here blowing something up. Oh, he's dead too. Oh, the round's over. Look at that. On to our next contest.
Fuse the hostage successfully.
Fuse successfully killed the hostage. Next match.
I think if you actually get a fuse, what do they call it, a fuse ace, when you kill everybody on the enemy team and the hostage.
Yeah.
I think if you get one of those on an esports match, then you go backstage and your manager kneecaps you.
You go backstage and freaking Yves Guillemot personally bans you from playing the game ever again.
Next round, the guy that got the fuse ace just comes out in a wheelchair.
See, I think a fuse ace should just result in an automatic win for that team.
Mission accomplished. We could have just dropped a fucking bomb on the place, but mission accomplished. Good work, Team Rainbow Six. We don't even know why we sent you in.
No, a fuse ace should get you more points. A fuse ace plus, where you kill your team as well.
Yeah, kill the
that-
entire enemy team, the hostage, and a couple teammates as well.
Yeah, kill everyone but you, maybe even you, and then you win the game automatically.
That would take a lot of coordination between both teams to accomplish.
It really
Right, we
would.
need everybody in this room with the hostage, and we need to get all our teammates into that room as well. This fuse sits outside on a soft wall so he can blow it up.
The great thing that I'm reminded of, there's only one situation where that would ever happen, and that would be if it would have to be like Team Fortress 2, where Team Fortress 2 you can do a conga line taunt, and the other players on either team can join in the taunt, and you can have every player in the session just doing a fucking conga line across the map.
And then the first one stops and shoots everyone.
Yes, exactly. That's always the issue, because at some point a pyro comes through and just lights everybody on fire. And then they keep dancing while on fire.
I mean, wouldn't you?
I know I would.
I feel like there's a reference to some kind of 70s funk song that can be made there.
Absolutely.
I'm hardly the funk expert here, though, so it's not my job.
Yeah.
We'll just have to make do it. Come on, baby, light my fire.
That
Nothing
works.
BGs comes to mind at the moment, but I'm sure there's something out there.
Oh, there has to be. Or alternatively, what's that stupid fucking Kings of Leon song? This Sex is on Fire? Something like
Yeah.
that.
Sex on Fire.
Who wrote that shit?
I'm assuming Kings of Leon, but you never know.
How are we supposed to know this was actually a Bob Dylan cover? Right, so I do want to ask you, though. I haven't got to play Overwatch is now in a strange place where I'm keeping my finger on the pulse and trying to pay attention to what's going on, but I never actually stopped to play it myself. So I'm curious, how is like Hammond fit into the game so far?
Hammond is not out yet. At
Oh.
least not on, like, the normal Overwatch servers and whatnot. He's on PTR right now, I think.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, because I've seen a shit ton of footage of him already. Have you seen the
Yeah.
Spider-Man shit he can do?
I have.
It's like, holy shit, they were intending to make him a wrecking ball, but he's just gonna become Spider-Man with a machine gun.
The best kind of Spider-Man. Ben Riley.
Yeah. But there's also something to be said here. A lot of people are complaining, like, because you remember a year or two ago, Overwatch revealed some of the concepts for heroes that they rejected. And one of them was Jetpack Cat.
Yes.
And now people are getting angry, because now we've got Wrecking Ball Hamster, but no Jetpack Cat.
Yeah.
And if
You can never count Jetpack Cat out, though.
Yeah, I want, like, if the next two hero releases are Junk Queen and Jetpack Cat, I'm just coming back and playing Overwatch for the next century. I won't be playing anyone other than Jetpack Cat.
We'll also need Bazooka Goat.
Bazooka Goat.
Oh man, that would be a great crossover with Goat Simulator.
Yeah.
There is actually a Payday level. I don't know if you guys have seen it. There's a level in Payday 2 that is a crossover with Goat Simulator.
Yeah, it's DLC.
Yeah, and instead of picking up packages of money or gold, you just pick up goats. And you get them to the drop-off point. And so you end up in the situation where the heisters are all walking along with goats strapped to their backs.
That's awesome.
I'll need to buy Payday and its DLC sometime.
Stupidity is awesome. Right, so that's about all you done this past week, Pink?
I believe so. I don't think I watched anything new. Haven't played anything new. I was intending to, but I just never got around to it.
Yeah, sometimes weeks get hectic. Yeah, I know that feeling. It's like, oh, yeah, this week I did nothing. Oh. So, Addie, how are you doing over there?
With people walking into my room. But, yeah, I have no idea where to start. So, I started playing Gwent.
What do you mean by Gwent? Did you buy the spin-off game they were making, or you're just playing Gwent in Witcher 3? Oh, it's
Both.
free. I did not know that.
Yeah, if you're on Xbox, it's free. It's in the game preview.
Oh, that's
I'm not
actually...
sure if it's the same on PS4, but we should play against each other because, yeah. It's a video that can be made. But yeah, I started playing Gwent because when I first played through The Witcher 3, I completely just I just skipped over it because I didn't care. Now that I'm going back to actually, try to do a thing where I do everything, or did most things at least, in the game, I was like, okay, I'll give this a go, and I'm actually liking the game in The Witcher 3.
Oh,
So
yeah.
then
I've heard a lot about how Gwent is like, okay, I'm here to play Witcher 3, but instead I'm just going to sit here for 2 or 3 hours and play Gwent.
Yeah. It's really easy, and that's a good thing.
Is it, what I've seen so far, like, I got to play like 2 minutes when I played Witcher 3 for about an hour. Is Gwent just Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yes. So it's slightly more dumbed down Yu-Gi-Oh, yes.
Okay, there we go. That's what I was hoping for.
So, with this, when they made the spin-off game, instead of, doing something else, they just made it so it's slightly dumbed down Yu-Gi-Oh, slightly turned up a notch. So, they made it a bit more complex, but it's not all that complex still. So, it's still really easy to learn and stuff. It's just lost a bit of what I'd say was good about it, because in the Witcher 3 version, you have specific cards that you can put on specific lanes. In the spin-off, that's not a thing. In the Witcher 3, you have specific spy cards with their thing. In the spin-off, you can make spy cards out of basically anyone, from what I could tell, but then I don't have a spy card yet. So, I have no idea how to make people into spies. I know that there are specific spy cards still, but they can turn the enemy's cards into spies as well, or something like that. It's weird.
Okay, yeah, that does sound pretty fucking weird. I do have to imagine, like, in The Witcher 3, the game itself, you could acquire more Gwent cards from, like, purchasing them at the shop or, like, picking them up as loot, right? Or quest rewards.
Yeah. Yeah, you
So,
also get them for just randomly playing people.
okay, so I'd imagine that has to change a lot then with a spin-off, since,
Yep.
you know, you can't just run around as Geralt.
Yeah, the spin-off is, well, the best way I can put it is like Hearthstone Light. So it's a lot like Hearthstone in from what I could tell. I have never played Hearthstone, but I did watch a lot of it because wouldn't you know, card games interest me.
Yeah.
But yeah, from what I could tell, it's more or less just CD Projekt Red's take on Hearthstone with the Witcher 3 team.
Right, so less Leroy Jenkins cards.
Yes, and about the same amount of microtransactions that you can have if you want, but there are single player challenges, so you don't have to play against people necessarily. There's also like player matches where you invite other people from your friends list and play against them specifically. So yeah, we need to test that out sometime because I have yet to play against people and my deck is shit right now. But that's because you get random cards.
All right, that sounds like a kind of game where we couldn't do 3 people, so that might have to be a PV Pink or whatever the equivalent would be for Alex versus Addy. AVA? I don't know.
I guess AVP.
Eh, Alex versus Predator?
Yes. But other than that, I played a bit of Virtua Fighter. We've discussed this off the camera, but yeah, that's gonna be an interesting thing.
Oh,
Not because
I think we'll have
Yeah.
a lot of fun with that one. Because that's a fighting game that don't require you to know too much. Well,
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
the only thing that I'm really worried about is remembering the inputs. But then, thankfully, the one character that I decided to freaking play, or well, try to learn since nobody else will pick him, does happen to have a really convoluted way of doing a Hadouken or a Shoryuken. So,
now,
like the motion is the same. It's the input that's different.
now there aren't any Hadoukens in that game, right? Isn't it like all really mundane movesets?
It is. It's all really mundane movesets.
Yeah, because like Tekken comes close, but then Tekken still has the occasional goofy bullshit like Devil Jin or Ancient Ogre. Whereas
Yeah.
Virtual Fighter, there's Dural, but Dural doesn't even have any goofy sci-fi moves. She just has a mix-up of everybody else's moves.
She's human ogre or whatever it was, normal ogre,
Ah,
more or less.
that-
I mean, the normal ogre still has the force choke, but other than that,
well,
I don't think he has anything else.
Ancient Ogre's move. Some of Ancient Ogre's moves were souped-up versions, though. Like he had Heihachi. Was it Heihachi's or was it Huarong's jumping kicks?
The hunting hawks, it doesn't matter. It's the same, more or less.
Okay, like those for
Well, did
him-
he have 3 or 2 kicks?
I think that Heihachi and Huarong's version are both supposed to have 2 kicks, and
Horang says 3.
okay, Ancient Ogre's has 3, and they go directly up. They go like diagonally up, whereas Heihachi's go forwards, pretty much.
Yeah, then he has Horang's.
Okay, that's what I
Because
figured.
Horang's goes diagonally up and he with the last kick, he kicks them down. Bloody. I can't speak.
Wait. Technically, wasn't it that Ancient Ogre like took moves from the people he killed in Tekken 2 after the end of Tekken 2?
No idea.
I think it was like because the thing after Tekken 2 was that Ancient Ogre was supposed to have butchered most of the roster, and he took their moves because he was supposed to be that he ate them or something.
So how are 90% of the people alive? Those most he stole.
Because Tekken 5 and Tekken 6 both retconned it because people wanted their mains back. It's the inevitable thing you get.
Yeah.
It's the inevitable
Go
thing
ahead.
you get with fighting games. Like, how many times has Nash died in Street Fighter?
Not enough.
Hey, I like Nash. I mean, he's kind of a Mary Sue version of Guile, but whatever. Street Fighter 5 what makes him way more interesting. So that's about it. You played Gwent and Virtual Fighter.
No. I also started watching My Hero Academia because people keep talking about how good it is, and I'm on episode 5 right now, and I have no idea because the first 3 episodes had like really small moments of actually funny jokes that made me want to continue, but then I just hate the protagonist so much.
That's my thing. Like, I see the little clips of like that big goofy American superhero guy, All Might, and he looks
Yeah,
fucking
All
cool.
Might.
Yeah, everybody loves him, and he seems cool. And I like the idea of a series about superheroes in school. I liked Sky High back in the day when that was on Disney. So that prospect interests me. The main issue I have is everybody calls the series Green Naruto, which if there's a way to kill my interest in something, it's that.
Oh man, I was about to say that the protagonist reminds me of Naruto.
Oh fuck, they weren't joking, were they?
No,
Oh,
well, the whole thing of never giving up and crying every 2 seconds stays with this character as well, and that's about all I can say. Like, I'm not sure how overpowered he becomes. I do know that the first time he actually gets any power, he breaks his everything.
okay.
So,
Does he turn into naked women at complete random though?
No,
Okay,
not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Give them a little bit. They'll figure out a way.
Yeah. I mean, so far, do you mind me spoiling what's happened in the first 5 episodes?
No, I don't mind at all.
All right. So what happens in the first 5 episodes is that the main character cries a lot because he doesn't have a superpower or quirk, as they call it in the show, and everybody else does.
So
It is Sky High.
It is.
And
Yeah,
so,
oh Jesus.
and he really wants to go to superhero school, but because he doesn't have a superpower, it's gonna be hard. So then his rival, who happens to be Ichigo from Bleach, with explosive powers.
I was about to say Sasuke.
No, he looks more like Ichigo.
Ah, okay.
To me, anyway. He has the freaking asshole with spiky orange hair, or whatever.
Oh,
Look.
good.
But yeah, the freaking rival is actually more interesting to me just because his power is explosions.
Well, I'd imagine the rival is more interesting to you because every anime rival is a huge edgelord.
Every anime rival is what? You cut out.
A huge edgelord.
Yeah. But,
Sasuke is the worst example.
I hated Sasuke always.
Oh yeah,
Unlike him
Sasuke.
still.
I said Sasuke's the worst example. And then comparatively, there's like the reverse case, like Dragon Ball, where it's Goku and Vegeta, and most of the time you hate Goku and like Vegeta better.
Yeah.
Because Goku's actually a shitty person. Yeah, Vegeta killed people, but at least he's there for his kids.
Yeah. And then you reach things like Bleach with freaking Ichigo and Renji, and like where does the protagonist end and the antagonist start? Like I think Renji's freaking made into the anti-villain, like anti-hero friend after like the first 10 episodes, but whatever.
Everything you have said has went over my head, because like Bleach is something I absolutely know fucking nothing about.
I watched 200 episodes of Bleach.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, because there was a time when I really liked Bleach, and then they reached like the Sand City or whatever, where they never leave, and there's like this small skeleton girl who keeps crying about Ichigo, and that's when I quit. Because like, imagine just for, I don't know, like 20 episodes straight, nothing but like the most annoying little kid crying about basically nothing, and that's that part of the series stretched out for like the rest of the series. I think I have no idea.
I can fucking
Yeah, I
imagine.
watched Naruto before.
Yeah. I was about
I
to
haven't
say
actually
that.
watched through Naruto, so
Oh man, you didn't watch Naruto when it was all over Cartoon Network?
it didn't air on Cartoon Network over here. It aired on Jetix.
Oh.
But I did watch a lot of Naruto. I think I watched like a good three-fourth of the first series. Then it got cancelled. Then it moved on to the one anime channel that's died by since then. But yeah, it got moved there. It finished itself up after like 4 years of airing everything that's freaking been aired on Jetix before. And then they were like, okay, next year we're gonna start Shippuden, and Shippuden is still getting started since then. This was 5 years ago.
Which is great, because isn't Shippuden now ending in America? In Japan?
Shippuden has ended. Now it's Boruto.
I know the manga's ended, for sure. I don't know if the anime's ended yet.
The anime has ended as well.
Okay, that's good to hear.
But yeah, Shippuden has like some 800 episodes, and it's like, if I wouldn't have quit Naruto before, I would have with Shippuden. Because like I gave it a chance. Because I liked the games, I knew most of the story from the games, which, I mean, it's not a really good representation of the story, but the story wasn't that good to begin with, so whatever.
Oh my god, you missed out on the Shakespearean tales of fucking Naruto.
Yeah. Some people actually are like that. But anyway, I gave it a chance. I started at the freaking start of the series, and by the third episode I was bored, so I quit. So I went on to Boruto and then quit after the 10th episode of nothing happening with that as well.
I'd imagine Boruto, by like taking the whiniest, shittiest character and then giving him a kid, and inherent to writing the kid character is like they have to be worse, right? They have to be whinier and shittier because they're kids. So taking the whiniest, shittiest character and making him whinier and shittier is like an automatic way of fuck everyone involved with this project.
Well, they did a they had a really easy job because they just mixed Naruto and Sasuke together.
Oh geez, so he's also a deadbeat dad?
Not yet.
Eventually.
Yes, eventually.
But
back to My Hero Academia. So yeah,
or as most people call it, macadamia.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with calling it the Japanese name just because the place where I watch it has the Japanese name, but it's really freaking stupid to call it that.
As most Japanese names tend to be.
I mean, are you more comfortable calling it My Hero Academia or Boku no Hero Academia? Doesn't make a difference.
I feel like the Attack on Titan Japanese title is worse, honestly.
What is it?
I don't remember. It's like Shingoku no Kyojin or something like that.
Oh. That's actually fine, in my opinion.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, for the first couple of episodes, the character cries about not being able to be a hero. Then, as this goes on, we actually get introduced to the world, and the world is actually interesting. Because superheroes are basically like an extension of the police force, while also not working with the police force at all. Because they just help out whenever they can. And there's random ass heroes just debuting whenever, like, all over the place. So, for example, in the second or third episode, I want to say, you get introduced to a well-established hero that's in the universe well-established. And then 3 seconds later, we also get introduced to a new hero that's new in universe. But yeah. So, after that, All Might shows up. He fights like a jelly monster, basically like a more dirty version of Chaos from Sonic Adventure. So yeah, he fights that. The protagonist wants to talk with All Might. I just made him really racist.
The newest superhero, alt-right.
Bloody hell.
His super move is the Burning Cross. He pile drives you into your front lawn.
Yeah, so, anyway. Bloody hell. So, yeah. So, the protagonist wants to talk with them. Bloody...
Alt-right, also... The superhero alt-right, also known as Captain America Hydra version. Dude, could you fucking imagine if Marvel just renamed Captain Hydra to alt-right? and that was it.
Yeah.
That would turn the Captain Hydra angle around from being one of the worst things ever to one of the best.
Yeah. All right, now hopefully I'll be able to stop laughing. So, the protagonist wants to talk with All Might, and then it turns out that All Might's quirk is, it deteriorates his body. So, while All Might, the superhero, looks like buff and stuff, the actual All Might is practically skin and bones, and also bleeds randomly.
So it's a kind of a Hulk and Bruce Banner situation.
Yeah, but more skin and bones. Yeah. Anyway, after a bit of back and forth, and All Might telling the protagonist that he can't be a hero without a quirk, All Might goes to the hero's house and tells him that he wants the protagonist to be his successor because the protagonist saves his rival from the freaking dirty chaos. After that, All Might gives him not a strand, like a freaking, what's the word? Whatever, a piece of his hair, basically, to swallow, and that's how he.
What?
Yes, and that's how he passes on his power, which is called All in One. It's his stand.
That doesn't sound sanitary.
And like the kid's parents are just fine with him barging in, like, "Kid, eat my hair."
No, this is after the kids. Well, the kid half naked moved everything on the beach because the beach was like really littered or something. And after that, All Might is like, "Okay, you've done enough training. I'll give you my hair. Swallow it now." And that's how you'll get my power.
Oh my god.
Strangest power transfusion ever.
Yeah, and after that, like the kid like collapses or something.
I was honestly more interested in the concept of a full-blown, like, the idea of Superman taking on a nobody with no powers as his apprentice. I thought was more of an interesting concept. Because, like, All Might is basically the Superman of this universe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, the idea of Superman just taking fucking Joe Blow off the streets and trying to train him to be a hero with no fucking powers.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. Like, Superman training Batman, basically, would be interesting.
Right, but
like,
Batman has money and decades of martial arts training. Imagine if Batman didn't even have that.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is that Superman training Batman from nothing, like giving him the tech and stuff, would be interesting.
Yes, it would. That, at least just me, I think that's a little bit of a wasted opportunity. But hey, if Japan wants to do a superhero anime, they can do it.
Yeah. So after this, we get to see the hero or the protagonist or whatever. Buddy, I've lost track. Alt-right, best superhero, whatever. Anyway,
Worst superhero. Well, let's be careful about what we say here, Addy.
Right. I'm just used to freaking ironically saying best something. Bloody. Anyway, after this, there's a whole freaking thing of the protagonist not being accepted into the superhero school, and then he gets accepted because he helped another superhero who was stuck on the rubble or something. And yeah, also lots more of crying. And that's basically the show right now. First season, fifth episode. There's 3 seasons, by the way.
This sounds like a show where I'd watch it for everybody but the protagonist.
Yeah, it's more or less that.
What? Well, that seems like a recurring thing with that kind of series, you know?
Yeah.
Which I've definitely heard that, like, once he actually gets into the school, they get all kinds of crazy superheroes, like a frog girl or something like that.
I don't know. I guess I'll keep watching and keep you updated to see if you're interested. But like,
I can't watch unless it's on Netflix or something. Like,
I can help you out.
I'll have to look into
that
whether or
ain't
not it's on Netflix or something. But yeah, My Hero Academia is one of the things I've been trying to keep tabs on.
But yeah, any other freaking show that you want me to give a look to? I mean,
Well,
But
we could
if-
actually back up the fact that we call our series Alex and Addie's Bizarre Adventure. Or Addie and
Okay, but
Alex's.
which one? Because
I guess you'd start with the first one, wouldn't you? Even though the first one's like bizarrely mundane, and the other ones are supposed to be the crazy or muda shit.
yeah, because I started watching Diamond is Unbreakable, but I've quickly lost interest just because of the main character's design. It annoys me.
You mean the extremely flamboyant, like firm, full-on camp designs of JoJo disinterested you from JoJo?
Have you seen the new guy and how he wears his freaking outfit?
No, I haven't, but I want you to bring up the picture so I can put it on the podcast. Because I can imagine
Alright.
how stupid it looks.
I have no idea what his name is. Like, I know one's named Josuke, but I think that's the other one.
I know Jotaro, but that's it. I know there's
Yeah,
a
Jotaro is another one, but it's not the one that I'm talking about.
I know there's a female one later in the series. But like, I would think going into JoJo, like, part of the appeal is how camp everybody's dressing and acting.
Oh shit, it is Josuke! That's the one I'm talking about.
Okay, let's see it.
Right, I'm trying to look for one. I guess should I link multiple pictures or should I just link one that's
Hey, you can go ahead and link one, and I'll just pick the best.
there? I found a full body.
The suspense is killing me. Oh my god, there we go. Yep, that's JoJo.
And yeah, it's not the pose, it's not how the guy looks, it's how he wears the freaking outfit.
He's got the peace pendant on one lapel and the heart pendant on the other. And you know what bothers me about that fucking design? That the pendants are bigger than his lapels.
And also that they never move.
Ha!
Or any of them.
Jesus Christ. Also, what's going on
so
with the Kushnud butt hairstyle going on there?
no idea. I'm used to that because a lot of Japanese characters have that kind of hairstyle.
Is that their idea of what Elvis had or something?
I guess so. Because yeah, strangely enough,
Oh my god.
the one character who that hairstyle reminds me of does wear Elvis-like clothes.
Thinking of Japan Elvis made me realize if I want to run through all the big character action games, I'm going to have to fucking buy Lollipop Chainsaw, aren't I?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that.
you
Fuck.
can probably hit up Brian for a copy.
I don't know. I guess there are worse ones than Lollipop Chainsaw to be ashamed of.
Yeah. But anyway, so the problem with JoJo that I had is that Diamond is Unbreakable is the newest one, so I was like, okay, I guess I'll watch that and maybe that'll answer a couple of questions I have. Then I got this guy and I'm like, okay, I don't care. So I'll need to find one that's interesting enough without a character that looks like Josuke. And
My OCD would make me start with the first one and go in chronological order. But if you want to
I
go
don't
with
have
the one
the
that
time
everybody,
or the interest.
the one that everybody loves is the one I think it's Jotaro, whichever one it was with the hat and the long trench coat.
I have no idea. Whatever. I'll look it up.
Yeah, I feel like it's the third arc, but I do not know for sure. I am the wrong person to ask about JoJo, as per usual.
So yeah. Other than that, I also
Remember
What did
when
I
you
freaking
said
do?
you didn't do anything this past week?
yeah. What the shit? I forgot what I did. Bloody.
Was it a movie? Was it a video game?
It was a video game, but Manifold freaking remember what it is.
Assault Android Cactus? I saw you were playing that earlier.
I guess I could, yeah. I did play through that. It's a fun game. Too bad there's no online co-op.
Ah. They
'Cause
never
I
give
have
you the
no
good
idea.
ones.
Yeah, I have no idea how to how we'd commentate over it like with a couchless co-op. There's also the problem where the game is freaking hard, and you need DPS to beat it, but like I mean the best DPS character in the game and the best damage character in the game, of course. And it's like I have to choose between either having DPS or damage. And that would be optimal if there were two people, but there's only one, which makes it a problem.
I feel like the bigger thing there is, like, on one hand, like, if you want to do a couchless co-op, there needs to be something to talk about. And games that are so purely arcade like that, there isn't so much to talk about. While on the other hand, with the really hard games, it's really nice to have someone else to commentate, because you need someone else to cover for you while you're focusing on what's going on.
Yeah.
Because, like, there are some definite spaces in Dead Space 2 where you were focusing on fighting the necromorphs, so I was trying to talk a little bit to cover it up. But, is that about all you've done this past week, Addy?
I guess so. Freaking alt-right made me forget everything that I've done.
Yeah, that's one of his superpowers.
Yeah.
He calls it Holocaust denial. Oh my god.
I'm gonna have to freaking edit All Might to fit that name now.
Jesus. Are you sure that's a good idea?
No idea.
Alright, so on my end, I've played through Devil May Cry 3, continuing my series of playing through character action games during the build-up to Devil May Cry 5, because words cannot express my hype for that game. Devil May Cry 3, in stark contrast to Devil May Cry 2 that I played last week, which was the trash heap of the Devil May Cry series, Devil May Cry 3 is mostly agreed to be the best. I would firmly agree, but that I haven't put enough time into Devil May Cry 4 to determine whether or not it's all that, whether it's great or not. And I've never put more than 10 minutes into the reboot because why would I? So 3 is fucking incredible because the gameplay is put together so tightly. Where one was very tight and it felt like the game designers knew what they were doing. It also felt kind of like it wasn't broad. You know, you only had 2 weapons, and each weapon only had, you know, like 1 or 2 combos, 2 or 3 special moves, and that was the extent of it. Devil May Cry 3 goes a little bit crazier. So Dante gets 5 melee weapons in this game, each of which have about 3 combos and 3 special moves. And then once you beat the game, you can play through the game again as Virgil, who gets 3 weapons, each with a couple combos and special moves. So where Devil May Cry 1, you got 2 playstyles, 1 for each weapon. Devil May Cry 2, you got 2 playstyles, 1 for each character. Devil May Cry 3, there are 8 fucking playstyles in the game. It's nuts. And it also sits at 20 levels, which I want to say is actually shorter than 1 or 2 in terms of level count, but the levels are generally fairly long, and they're very well put together. The big strength of 3 was that the story, unlike the first 2 games, the story in Devil May Cry 3 isn't shit. So, it basically revolves around, you know, it's the story that everybody knows for Devil May Cry. You know, it's Dante, it's Virgil, they're brothers, they're fighting, they're both, their father was, you know, this great demon that rebelled against the devil to fight for humanity, and so they're both fighting over his legacy and all that. And it's got a lot of funny spots, because this is Dante at his most young, stupid, and arrogant. So there's a lot of moments in that game that are devoted to Dante tries to do a cool thing, fucks it up, looks like an idiot. There's one particular spot in the start of the game where he's in front of his shop, and he decides to throw his coat on in the most, like, ridiculously stylish way possible, where he throws it in the air, then situates his arms perfectly to where the jacket just slides onto his arms. Then he whips out his sword, strikes a cool pose, and then sneezes, which somehow causes his entire shop to collapse.
Oh yeah, that happens. You live and you learn.
Yeah, and Dante had a lot to live and learn from. Devil May Cry 3 was also unique in that the first 2 Devil May Cry games made it kind of ambiguous why Dante can do the shit he can do. The first Devil May Cry kind of implied that it was the spirit of his mother that was helping him from beyond to do all the crazy shit. Devil May Cry 3 is like, no, Dante's just a crazy fucking superhuman. Devil May Cry 3 is the one that's just straight up like, okay, we're talking like Superman or Thor power levels for Dante here. There are several parts in Devil May Cry 3 where Dante gets impaled or cut in half and just walks it off. So, there's all that, and there's also the whole Virgil Dante storyline actually turns out to get really sad near the end, as does the side story of Lady and her father Arkham. And you've got to understand, like, this is basic for me as someone who plays a shit ton of Capcom games. Capcom's story in games is just generally ranges from mediocre to awful. Like Addy can tell you, there is not much to most Street Fighter stories. So, to see a Devil May Cry game come out, like, under Capcom, and it have actually a good story is, like, beyond abnormal. The level design is, like, the pacing is very good. The actual maps look kind of bland, honestly. Which, Devil May Cry has never had good maps in terms of, like, in terms of looks. They all tend to come out very bland for some reason. I don't know if it's set that way to contrast with very colorful and stylish main characters, or if it's just that they gave up at that part. The whole thing feels very well put together in terms of everything having a purpose. There's no crazy shit like in Devil May Cry 2, where, like, Devil May Cry 2, you could just use the guns the entire game, because the guns were just stupid, broken, powerful. Devil May Cry 3, everything feels like it has its strengths and has its weaknesses. Everything was well put together. And none of the guns are useful enough to be used as proper ranged weapons unless you're just using them up against stupid, weak enemies, you know, your regular fodder. And just overall, Devil May Cry 3 is, like, it's set up as the Devil May Cry game to end all Devil May Cry games because it is. It's just the perfect refinement of the way the series should work. And I'm hopeful that 4 and 5 will follow suit. And I will be playing 4, not this coming week. This next week's podcast, I should mention, I will not be here for, on account of moving. So, on the week following that, I will be playing 4. I'll be talking about 4 on the podcast, which is good because Devil May Cry 4, I have the Special Edition. Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition is a ridiculously huge game. To properly hit all of the content in that game, I'll be playing through it at least 3 times. So I'm going to need 2 weeks to do that. So it's actually working out timing-wise. Going further than that, I'll probably have to play through the reboot for completeness sake. And then I'll hit most of the other big character action games that have come through in recent years, like Bayonetta, or Ghost Rider for PS2, or that Transformers game that Platinum made, which was weird. So, I've got, like, for the next good, like, fucking 2 or 3 months, I've got a long string set up of shit I can talk about on the podcast for. So, that'll be good. Other than Devil May Cry 3, did I talk about Heavy Rain last week?
I think you did, but I'm not sure.
Right, okay, I haven't made much progress in that, so there's not much to talk about there. I did get to try Absolver, because Absolver is the free game on PS Plus this month. And Absolver is, well, it's crazy to play it, because it's God Hand. It's God Hand if God Hand wasn't stupid. So you guys both know the story of God Hand, right, on PS2?
Nope.
It was one of the big cult classics of the PS2. It was Shinji Mikami's first big thing after he did Resident Evil 4. And the game was a tremendous bomb because IGN gave it a 3 out of 10 review. And the game was very poorly put together, like the graphics looked like shit. It was one of those really bad cases where whenever you're up against the wall and you move the right stick in the right position, the camera just goes through the walls and you're clipping real bad. But it's got a very vocal fan base because it has a structure that has not been imitated since. In terms of, you have, like, it does that kind of WWE 2K kind of thing where you make your character's moveset, right? But it's a beat 'em up. So you actually, like, buy and unlock different moves throughout the game and try to build a moveset and figure out what's the best way to handle it. And there's all kinds of different properties to the moves and different styles you can go for, different strategies you can go for. So even though the game was dog shit, a lot of people really came to love it. But because it was such a bomb, it's been 10 years and there's still not been anything like it. Up until Absolver. Because this game does the exact same thing as God Hand in terms of building up your moveset, but it has actual, like, full-on mechanics built around them, like different timing for different moves to set up so that, you know, they all combo together properly. Which I should mention, there's something Absolver does that fighting games need to look into doing, at least for tutorials. So, Addy, you'll know what I'm talking about here. There are some fighting games, particularly Street Fighter, that are really ruthless with their combo timing. Like Street Fighter 4 or Third Strike, like you have to time the press of the button properly between every normal hit, or else they just won't chain together.
I don't think I've done a combo in Street Fighter at all. Like, I think the only... I have done one combo, and that's the basic Akuma combo of, I want to say, like...
Crouching medium kick Hadouken?
Yeah. No, that's what I'm to show you.
Ah, okay. Because, like, every Shoto in Street Fighter has the obvious combo of crouching medium kick into Hadouken. So, Absolver actually has, like, a visual on-screen thing, a little meter, a little proper timing meter, that lets you know, press the button now to properly make it where the moves combo together and your opponent doesn't get a gap for defense. It's like, have either of you guys played Gears of War?
I
have played the second.
Okay, so Gears of War has a reload mechanic where when you reload, you can do a faster reload if you complete a little timing minigame. But if you fuck it up, then your character fumbles the reload or the gun jams. And so this game has that meter where it then you use that to determine the right time to connect the combo hits. But there is no downside to if you fuck up the timing. It's just a little thing there to let you know, and that's like a thing that at least fighting game tutorials should start including as a way of letting the player know, like, hey, this is the timing you need to get these hits to combo. But, it's Capcom. It seems like Capcom deliberately makes their Street Fighter games hard to get into, so who the fuck knows. Absolver, like, obviously it's got it over God Hand that it isn't put... They actually bothered to make it where the camera can't clip through the fucking walls. Who would have thought? And other than that, it's structured very much like Dark Souls, which was weird. But it's not nearly as difficult, obviously. Like, they set you up immediately with, hey, here's the 6 bosses you need to beat the game. I walked to the left, like, I don't know, about a mile, and I fucking immediately ran into one of the 6 bosses and beat him with the starting moveset. So I don't know how the difficulty in that game works. But it's solid. I may invest more time into it. I don't know. We'll see. Other than that, I think there was, in fact, a movie I watched at some point during this week. You will have to give me a second to think about it. Yes, I watched Shutter Island, which is the Martin Scorsese psychological horror thriller movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio. And that is a really fucking good psychological horror type thriller type movie. Now, it has a big twist at the end, and it's the exact kind of big twist you always expect out of psychological horror, but they handle it in a certain way where it works very, very well in terms of they know that the twist is obvious, and they make sure repeatedly throughout the movie to let you know that they know that the twist is obvious, which then makes you doubt how obvious the twist is. So it leaves you in a state where both you and the main character are kind of doubting your perception of the supposed twist.
Is it? Go ahead.
It's very well put together, but it's very hard to describe to someone who hasn't watched the movie without spoiling it. And ordinarily, like, it's a 10-year-old movie. Ordinarily, I wouldn't care about spoiling it. But I think it is a fun enough spoiler that I'm going to try and run away from spoiling it.
Is the twist that the main character killed their wife, making them go to Silent Hill?
Well, there we go. There's the spoiler. So it obviously no Silent Hill, but yes, the twist is that he killed his wife. And the twist
I just was making a Silent Hill joke.
You were, but there is a lot of James Sunderlanding going on there. Absolutely. But anyways, yeah, a U.S. Marshal goes to mental institution. And yeah, further spoilers other than the fact that he killed his wife. Fuck, it's a 10-year-old movie. If you haven't watched the movie yet, go and fucking watch it. Past a certain point, it's no longer my fault for spoiling it. But, or rather, Addie's fault for spoiling it. But
How would I know that I'm spoiling it?
you can spoil something without knowing. Hey. But, yeah, a U.S. Marshal goes to a mental institution because supposedly one of the patients got away, and he's supposed to help them chase the patient down. He gets there, and throughout the movie, he feels incredibly suspicious about the institution and produces increasingly stupid theories as to why he's there. Because at first he's like, "Oh, I'm here to help catch the chick." Then later on he's like, "I'm here because I think the man who murdered my wife is here." And then further on in the movie, he gets even crazier and says, "I'm here because I think they're experimenting on the patients." And so the eventual end twist of the movie is he killed his wife, and he is actually just a patient at the mental institution. And that he is delusional, thinks he's a U.S. Marshal, and this was all some attempt at therapy by the doctors at the institution, who were letting him play out the fantasy to see if that fixed it.
Oh.
And the performances are generally pretty good. I'm not a Leonardo DiCaprio fan by any stretch of the imagination. I don't hate him, but I don't care for him either. But he does a surprisingly solid job. Mark Ruffalo does a great job. Like, when you first see Mark Ruffalo's performance, you think, wow, Mark Ruffalo is phoning it in. And then you see the big ending twist, and it's like, oh, wait, Mark Ruffalo was actually doing a great job. Whoops. And this was like way before anyone would have known Mark Ruffalo for Avengers, so that was surprising. Ben Kingsley does a good job. And like Ben Kingsley is always one of those actors I'm glad to see he's there. I always feel a little bit bad for Ben Kingsley. I don't know if you guys do. But like there's a thing with Ben Kingsley where the poor bastard just gets ambiguously cast in every brown person role ever. Cuz in some movies he's my mouth gave up there. In some movies, he's Indian. In some movies, he's Egyptian. In some movies, he's Jewish. Like, all right. You know, I'm not one of those people that's like, you have to get the ethnicity exactly right. But, like, you could at least get it broadly right, you know? Whatever. But that was a good movie. And I think that's about it for what I've done, because I've mostly been trying to wrap things up over here because we're moving and I want to get everything boxed up. So, that sounds like that's a podcast.
Yeah.
Nice.
We will see you folks later.